Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the Congress of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, former Presidents Joseph Ejercito Estrada, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, and the honorable members of the Senate, House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, and the honorable members of the House of Representatives, Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, and the Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court, the Apostolic Nuncio, Most Reverend Charles John Brown, and the esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, the honorable members of the Cabinet, our First Lady, Luis Araneta Marcos, and our children, distinguished guests, ang mga minamahal kong mga kababayan, ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. I come before you today to address you as it is my duty as President of the Republic. We live in difficult times brought about by some forces of our own making, but certainly also by forces that are beyond our control. But we have, and we will continue to find solutions, and these are some of them. In terms of the economy, we will implement a sound fiscal management. Tax administration reforms will be in place to increase revenue collection. Expenditure priorities will be realigned and spending efficiency will be improved to immediately address the economic scarring arising from the effects of COVID-19 and also to prepare for future shocks. Productivity-enhancing investments will be promoted. Our country must become an investment destination, capitalizing on the corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises, so the CREATE law, and the economic liberalization laws such as the Public Service Act and the Foreign Investments Act. Ecozones will be fully supported to bring in strategic industries such as those engaged in high-tech manufacturing, health and medical care, and all emerging technologies. This is also seen to facilitate economic growth outside of Metro Manila. Our tax system will be adjusted in order to catch up with the rapid developments of the digital economy, including the imposition of value-added tax on digital service providers. The initial revenue impact will be around 11.7 billion pesos in 2023 alone. Tax compliance procedures will be simplified to promote ease of paying taxes. We will pursue measures to determine possible undervaluation and or trade misinvoicing of imported goods. Through information and communications technology, the Bureau of Customs will promote streamlined processes. Disbursements for 2022 to 2023 will be maintained at above 20% of gross domestic product, or 4.955 trillion pesos and 5.086 trillion pesos respectively, to ensure continuous implementation of priority programs. Disbursement will further increase over the medium term from 5.402 trillion pesos, or 20.7% of our GDP in 2024, to 7.712 trillion pesos, or 20.6% of GDP in 2028. The medium-term fiscal strategy of this administration seeks to attain short-term macro-fiscal stability while remaining supportive of the country's economic recovery and to promote medium-term fiscal sustainability. Furthermore, and more importantly, fiscal policy aims to bring together the national government's resources so that these are mobilized and utilized in order to gain the maximum benefit and the high multiplier effects for our economy. Measurable medium-term macroeconomic and fiscal objectives include the following headline numbers. These are based on forecasts that are consistent with the guiding principles of coherence of strategies, policy discipline, and fiscal sustainability. 6.5 to 7.5% real gross domestic product growth in 2022. 6.5 to 8% real GDP growth annually between 2023 and 2028. 9% or single-digit poverty rate by 2028. 3% national government deficit to GDP ratio by 2028. Less than 60% national government debt to GDP ratio by 2025. At least $4,256 income per capita, and the attainment of upper middle income status by 2024. The aforementioned headline goals summarize the objectives of this medium-term fiscal strategy being submitted to Congress for its adoption and concurrence to the concurrent resolution by the Senate and House of Representatives. Once adopted, the MTFF will become an anchor for the annual spending and financing plan of the national government and Congress when preparing the annual budget and undertaking related appropriation activities. It is therefore a forward-looking document that extends beyond the traditional 3-year horizon to reach 6 years, coinciding with the 6-year coverage of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028. The MTFF also promotes transparency and credible commitment to pursue the indicated social macroeconomic goals that optimize the government budget. Medium-term growth targets and the assumptions regarding key macroeconomic variables underpin the medium-term fiscal plan. The recent past and the COVID-19 pandemic has beset the macroeconomic environment with challenges and a series of external shocks. Inflation has accelerated in recent months due largely to significant increases in international prices of oil and other key commodities. Still, the economic growth momentum remains firm, as demonstrated by the strong 2022 first quarter GDP growth at 8.3%. However, the recovery process from the impact of the pandemic is still ongoing, amid elevated uncertainty in the international economic environment. Revisions in the macroeconomic assumptions incorporate these challenges and most recent economic developments, leading to upward adjustments in the following: inflation rate for 2022 to 2023, foreign exchange rate for 2023 to 2025, and goods and services imports growth for 2022. The economy is expected to grow by 6.5 to 7.5% this year as we continue to reopen the economy while considering the recent external developments. In the first quarter alone, GDP saw an increase in household consumption and private investments, along with a robust manufacturing industry, high vaccination rate, improved healthcare capacity, and an upward trend in tourism and employment. This is expected to continue for the rest of the year. The strong economic growth is projected to be sustained and expanded further to 6.5 to 8% from 2023 until 2028. The average inflation for 2022 is projected to range from 4.5 to 5.5%, following the uptick in fuel and food prices as a result of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict and the disrupted supply chains. It is slightly adjusted to 2.5 to 4.5% in 2023 and is seen to return to the target range of 2.0 to 4.0% by 2024 until 2028. Dubai crude oil price is expected to settle at 90 to 110 US dollars per barrel in 2022, 80 to 100 US dollars per barrel in 2023, and 70 to 90 US dollars per barrel from 2024 onwards, as oil supply is expected to catch up and stabilize over the medium term. The Philippine peso is projected to average between 51 to 53 pesos per US dollar in 2022 and 51 to 55 pesos per US dollar from 2023 onwards due to aggressive monetary policy tightening by the US Federal Reserve, market aversion amid the Russian-Ukraine conflict, and again, increased global oil prices. Lastly, exports of goods are expected to grow by 7% in 2022 and 6% from 2023 to 2028. On the other hand, imports of goods are projected to grow by 18% in 2022, 6% in 2023, and 8% from 2024 to 2028. I have instructed the NEDA to coordinate with other agencies and work on the Philippine Development Plan for 2023 to 28 and to submit to me the complete blueprint and progress of its implementation not later than year-end. One of the main drivers of our push for growth and employment will be in the agricultural sector. With regard to food supply, we are confronted by a two-pronged problem, that which will hit us in the short term and that which will hit us in the long term. Tayo ay nahaharap sa mga problemang kagyat nating mararamdaman at mga hamong pangmatagalan. Ang mga suliraning agarang mararamdaman ng ating mga kababayan ay ang posibilidad ng tuloy-tuloy na pagsipa ng presyo ng pagkain at kakulangan sa supply ng ating pagkain. Upang masuportahan ang mabimili para mapanatili ang kanilang purchasing power o kapangyarihan sa pagbili, isinapinal ng Department of Agriculture ang planong taasan ang produksyon sa susunod na panahon ng pagtanim o planting season sa pamamagitan ng tulong pinansyal at teknikal. Magbibigay tayo ng pautang habang mas ilalapit natin sa sektor ng agrikultura ang hindi gaanong mahal na farm inputs na bibilhin na ng bulto ng gobyerno. Kabilang dito ang abono, pestisidyo, mga punla, feeds, fuel subsidy at ayuda para sa mga karapat-dapat na benepisyaryo. Para sa pangmatagalang solusyon, itataas natin ang produksyon ng mga kalakal at produktong pang-agrikultura. At para magawa ito, pagtitibayin natin ang tinatawag na value chain na nagsisimula sa mga magsasaka hanggang sa mga namimili. May mga bahagi ng value chain na sa ngayon ay kanya-kanya ang operasyon. Pagtibayin natin ang koordinasyon ng iba't ibang bahagi nito. Ang pagsasaliksik para sa mga makabagong paraan at ng pagtatanim at pag-aalaga ng hayop ay masusing gagabayan ng Department of Agriculture. Ang produksyon ng farm inputs o mga kakailanganin ng mga magsasaka sa pagpapalago ng kanilang sakahan ay ating iaayon sa mga hamong dala ng climate change at global warming. Mahigpit na pagsusuri ang gagawin ng ating mga eksperto tungo dito. Ang mga pautang at financial assistance sa mga magbubukid at mangingisda ay magiging institusyon at patakaran ng aking administrasyon. Ipapaprioridad natin ang modernisasyon ng mga sakahan sa pamamagitan ng mga makabagong teknolohiya para sa ating mga magsasaka. Atin palalawakin ang mga palaisdaan, babuyan at manukan. Lahat ng ito gagamitan ng siyensya para tumaas ang produksyong agrikultural. Maging ang post-production at processing ay susuportahan ng pamahalaan. Gagawa tayo ng network, national network ng farm-to-market road upang mas mabilis na mailakbay ng mga magsasaka ang kanilang mga produkto sa mga pamilihan. At gagawa tayo ng mga paraan upang maramdaman ng mga mamimili ang pagluluwag ng presyo ng mga produktong pagkain sa kayang halaga, gaya ng muling pagbubuhay ng mga Kadiwa Center. Hindi ito magagawa sa isang araw. Hindi magagawa sa isang buwan o isang taon lamang. Ngunit, kailangan na nating simulaan ngayon. Ang Agrarian Reform Program ay dapat magpatuloy. Agrarian reform is not only about acquisition, but also about support services and distribution. To assist this, I intend to issue an executive order to impose a one-year moratorium on the payment of land amortization and interest payments. This is included in Republic Act number 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. A moratorium will give the farmers the ability to channel the resources in developing their farms, maximizing their capacity to produce, and propel the growth of our economy. Civil society organizations also support this because it will unburden the farmers of their dues and be able to focus on improving farm productivity. Congress must also pass a law that will emancipate the agrarian reform beneficiaries from the agrarian reform debt burden, thereby amending Section 26 of Republic Act 6657. In this law, the loans of agrarian reform beneficiaries with unpaid amortization and interest shall be condoned. Layunin ng batas na ito ay burahin ang hindi mabayarang utang ng ating mga magsasaka na benepisyaryo ng agrarian reform. Agrarian reform beneficiaries who are still to receive their awarded land under the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program shall receive it without any obligation to pay any amortization. The condonation of the existing agrarian reform loan will cover the amount of 58.125 billion pesos, benefiting 654,000 agrarian reform beneficiaries and involving a total of 1.18 million hectares of awarded lands. Executive Order number 75, Series 2019 requires that all government agencies, bureaus, departments, and instrumentalities to turn over agricultural lands to qualified agrarian reform beneficiaries. At present, we have a total of 52,000 hectares of unused agricultural lands of the government, which shall now be used for distribution to the following sectors in accordance with Section 40 of the Republic Act number 6657 as amended. Thus, landless war veterans, landless surviving spouse and orphans of war veterans, landless retirees of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police. Agricultural lands acquired under this program will be given to graduates of college degrees in agriculture who are landless. The call of the times is for the infusion of fresh and new blood in the agricultural sector. We need a new breed of farmers equipped with modern agricultural technology able to engage in sustained scientific farming that will not only increase farm yields, but also resilience in the face of climate change. They say that each brand has a story. As for the Filipino brand, ours is deeply rooted in our rich cultural heritage, and the tourism sector plays an invaluable role in the promotion of the Filipino brand. Tourism is not only an important economic development tool, but the abundance of opportunities that the sector creates in terms of regular employment and even job creation at the grassroots level is undeniable. To boost our tourism industry, we will first and foremost make basic developments, such as road improvements for easier access to tourism spots. We will also upgrade our airports and create more international airports to help decongest the bottleneck in the Manila airport. We will also make it more convenient for travelers to go around the country, even to remote areas, to help promote undiscovered tourist spots. This program will be led by the Department of Tourism together with the Department of Public Works and Highways. To foster the Filipino brand is to spark our sense of pride and reaffirm our strong sense of identity. It is time to welcome the rest of the world with an enhanced Filipino brand that is unique, attractive, and creative. The creativity of the Filipino is truly world-class. We excel in arts and culture, new media, live events, avenues which generate primary and downstream jobs for our creative and talented countrymen. Unfortunately, ang mga hanap buhay na ito ang unang pinadapa ng pandemya at ang pinakahuli namang makabalik sa normal. The creative industry likewise faces many challenges, including workplace conditions, working hours, intellectual property rights, and the welfare of our beloved freelancers who were left vulnerable during the height of the pandemic. We require an institutionalized creative industry that will advance the interest of its stakeholders. Sila na nagbibigay ng kaluluwa at pagkakilala sa ating pagka-Pilipino. Protektahan natin sila. The Department of Social Welfare and Development has a large part to play in all of this. Magpapatuloy ang ating pagkalinga sa ating mga kababayan na lubos na nangangailangan. Hindi po natin sila pababayaan. Mangunguna sa pag-aagapay sa kanila ang Department of Social Welfare and Development. Utos ko sa DSWD ang mabilis na pagtugon sa pangangailangan ng mga biktima ng kalamidad at mga iba't ibang krisis. Ang mga field office nila ay inatasan na maagang maglagak ng family food packs at non-food essentials sa mga LGU, bago pa man manalasa ang anumang kalamidad. Magdadagdag tayo ng mga operation center, warehouse at imbakan ng relief goods, lalo na sa mga malalayong lugar na mahirap marating. Titiyakin natin na maayos ang koordinasyon ng DSWD at Department. Pagtitibayin natin ang programa sa violence against women and their children. Kabilang na ang counseling para sa mga biktima, katuwang ang ating mga LGU. Tiyakin natin na sapat ang pondo sa halos 70 residential care centers at 7 non-residential care centers para sa vulnerable sectors at persons with disabilities na sumisilong dito. At bilang ng mga namamatay. Cornerstones of a strong healthcare system is the provision of competent and efficient medical professionals. We will exert all efforts to improve the welfare of our doctors, our nurses, and other medical frontliners. For teachers, for students, and the entire academic community when they return to face-to-face classes. We continue to encourage everyone to get their booster shots in preparation for the resumption of in-person classes, so that they might participate fully in seamless access to public services. The voluminous records stored in the government warehouses and archives have to be digitized. Those that are already stored in various inventories of data should be harmonized and shared across departments and agencies. Needless to say, these have to be kept in large data centers that are secure yet accessible. Are to build better, more. Necessarily, infrastructure development will remain a very high priority in our drive for growth and employment. Are now expanding very quickly our solar power production for both operating climate change and extreme weather conditions. Though we are a minor contributor to climate change globally, we have the unfortunate distinction of the Department of Migrant Workers matapos itong ideklara bilang ganap na ahensya ng gobyerno ng isang taon. Para pumunta sa Maynila at mangatok sa iba't ibang ahensya para mapauwi ang ahensya ng pamahalaan. Alagaan natin ang kabataang Pilipino sapagkat sila ang kinabukasan ng ating inang bayan. We will be a good neighbor, always looking for ways to collaborate and cooperate with the end goal of mutually beneficial outcomes. If we agree, we will cooperate and we will work together. And if we differ, let us talk some more until we develop a consensus. After all, that is the Filipino way. But we will not waver. Strategic review of functions, programs, and projects that will cut across various agencies. Number 2, a budget modernization bill. This seeks to institutionalize a cash-based budgeting system under Executive Order number 91, Series 2019, to strengthen fiscal discipline in the allocation and use of budget resources by ensuring that every peso budgeted by the government would lead to the actual delivery of programs and problems of MSMEs and strategically important industries to encourage their continued operation and maintain management and development of our country's land and water resources, hold owners accountable for making these lands productive and sustainable, strengthen the LGU to manage ecological balance within its jurisdiction and insufficient power supply. The bill seeks to restructure the Energy Regulation Commission to foster accountability and improve the Commission's government system that would ensure consumer. I do not intend to diminish the risks and the challenges that we face in this turbulent time in global history. And yet, I see sunlight filtering through these dark clouds. We have assembled the best Filipino minds to help navigate us to this global crisis that we are now facing. We will endure. Let our Filipino spirit ever remain undimmed. I know this in my mind. I know it in my heart. I know it in my very soul. The state of the nation is sound. Thank you and good afternoon. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat.